Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today I am in Utah, traveling down to southwestern Colorado, heading to Durango. I'm going to watch my son play football with his high school. And I scheduled a conversation with Miss Gwendelin. Miss Gwendelin's out of Dallas, Texas. Sent me an email, so we wanted to chat about opening a pro child care center. We talk about finances. We talk about grants. We talk about lease options, all those kind of things. Another great call was with Miss Michaela. You'll find out maybe at the recommended video at the end of this. So Gwendelin and I spent almost 30 minutes together on the phone, and I want to bring to you my interview and consultation with Miss Gwendelin of Dallas, Texas. Here we go. Follow me. Then this is the channel for you. You go. It's pretty cool, huh?
Miss Gwendelin, this is Kirk Huddleston. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Still a good time for you?
It is. Thank you for calling. So, my I don't want to hold you too long because I know we got 15 minutes.
You're
but
okay.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you giving me the time.
Sure.
But let me just tell you about myself. So I've actually been keeping children just about all of my life. I didn't realize that this is something that God was calling me to do until I got older, until I had my children. So I opened up my child care center in my home. Well, not center. I did a home child care back in 2013. I did it for 3 years to 2016. I ended up closing it down, and I went back to the job I'm doing now, mortgage. So again, God is still calling me and pushing me to do it again. So now I'm working diligently trying to get it open as a center, not in my home again.
Yeah.
I never had it as a center, so that's where I'm kind of like, it's a little hard.
There's a lot of moving parts. Yeah, and the learning curve, depending on what book you're reading from, can be pretty steep. Sure. Okay. So, do you have a site in mind? Do you have a location that you've already picked out, or are you shopping for a location right now?
I'm shopping for a location, and that's difficult as well. So, but yeah, I am shopping. I don't want to do a storefront. I don't. The spirit is telling me to build, but I know that takes some time, and I know that that comes with patience. But I really don't even know if that's the direction I should go.
Okay. What state are you in? Where are you living?
I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. My wife's about ready to drive through Dallas. All right, so you're in Dallas. All right, so build it and they will come. That's what you're working on right now, right?
Yes. Well, I'm
Okay.
not working on a build. I'm still weighing my options. I have a
Yeah.
realtor that's looking for me. Still looking for buildings. My plan is to find an actual home that I can zone as a daycare.
Yeah. So, have you listened to or watched one of my videos about an interview with Michaela?
I did. I haven't
Okay.
watched the second one. I don't watch the first one. I think it was.
All right. Well, watch them both, because this is what we were talking about. She was she'd been in the center for years, and she's like, I'm getting close. I'm getting ready the next couple of years. I'd like to go out on my own. So I would look at all of the child cares that are in place right now in your area, or in the area that you would want to open in. I did an interview with Brian Dupree, and he talked about, and this is on my YouTube as well, he talked about writing a letter and either mailing it or hand delivering it to these centers just in case someone's looking to possibly exit.
Okay.
Okay. The last year and a half has been very tough on everyone, but and child care centers are no different, right? So maybe there's somebody that has a business that's ready to transition out. And so he talked a little bit about that, and in the book Child Care Millionaire, he talks about how he opened some of his centers, and how he negotiated with people that did not have for sale signs out there. Okay. You asked about financing in your email, and the financing I love is owner financing.
I agree.
If you have somebody that is interested in looking at that door and having a good exit plan, and you could maybe work out a lease option where you lease the building, purchase the business, settle on a number for the business, so that business is now yours. The materials, all the equipment is yours, and then you lease the building with an option to purchase that building in the future.
Okay.
So it might be a 5-year lease option. It might be a 10-year lease option. I keep throwing some videos at you because that way you can go back and make sure you watch those. So I did one on how to open a child care center, financing, business, and location. And I chatted a little bit about some of those things as well. So make sure you watch that.
Okay.
But both of the centers that I opened, I did a lease option, and it was a reasonable lease payment. And the first one offered me 5 years. And I said, this isn't a 5-year gig. This is going to be a 10-year gig at least. So I actually asked him to extend that lease. Most people don't always want to do that unless you have a really good lease payment and a small increaser every year. If you're comfortable with leasing it for 10. But I knew my exit plan was, part of it was to purchase that building. And that's what I'm hearing from you. You want to own that. You asked about financing. Mm-hmm. But I really think a lease option is great, because if you have some cash and capital in the bank, then you can keep that for the unexpected, lean a little bit on opium, other people's money.
Right. Right. With that said, so, okay, let me ask you this. So when you and your wife got started, when you first got started, as far as, because I have money set aside for this purpose, but at the same time, like you said, other people's money. So,
yeah.
Did you already have your children already? Did you already have, how did it start for you?
I've told her story on one of them, so go back and look. But I had $100 in the bank. My wife and I had both filed bankruptcy within a year of that. So, and this was a center that was closing. So it was a nursing home that had opened up and purchased a child care center, or actually built it. They ran it for 5 years, and they're like, this is sucking the life out of us. So they wanted out. Mm-hmm. So their partner offered my wife and I an option to come in and do that lease option. So it had closed. It had been closed for a few months. There was no kids. So we went in there and sweat equity for a month and a half and gutted it and cleaned it, and got a line of credit from the business partner for us to purchase everything we needed. And we started with 8 kids, and we were advertising, of course, on social media and flyers around town. So 8 kids first day. And now we see about 140 a week in that same location. That's the capacity of that. So, I'm not afraid of starting from zero. And then the second option, or our second one, was owner was closing, and we purchased the building. We got a lease agreement, did a 10-year lease with option to buy after 5 years. And in 2.5 years, he calls me and says, hey, are you interested in buying this thing? I'm really ready to get out completely. And so I said, yep. And so I think we didn't do an owner finance there. I was able to do a bank finance, but he actually carried a second mortgage on that one for me of $80,000 to get me down, so I didn't have to pay P&I on it. So, there's a lot of... And so if you have a good banker, whether the bank's going to loan for differences or balances, find a creative financer. I can share with you some of the few experiences I've had, but or your accountant. I spoke with my accountant just yesterday about some possible options about something, and she's bringing up all kinds of things that I would never have known to ask those questions. So your accountant or a good banker, as far as OPM, good idea, but lease option, great one.
So I did see the video where you said you only had $100 in the bank. And I get it. I understand. So I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say. So I know you did say also that you sold your home.
Good. So we sold our house because we wanted to be closer to our center. So we were 25 minutes, and we sold it and moved just 2-3 blocks from our center, which was amazing because we had 3 girls at the time and just nice and close. Because you're going to be working 12, 14 hours a day at the beginning. So that proximity, would get a couple kindergartens at the time. So, yeah. So sold the house, sold the business, and cashed in some retirement stuff that we had the fortunate opportunity to put into a little bit so we could get it up and running in 6 months, start taking a paycheck. So, yeah, that was kind of the intro story there. I think you could do it differently today because I didn't know anything. I didn't know what I know now. So 18 years later, I think if I were to start again, which I did 7 years ago, a couple months, we were profitable. Here's another thing for you. And this was a Colorado email that I got from the top of the state. And this is going to be true in Texas. I don't know what they're doing with their money, but there's a huge influx, we all know this, of unspent COVID money out there, okay? And the states are trying to figure out what to do with it. And so the states are creating programs to help the local economies, to help communities. So they have money that they're trying to appropriately and properly disperse. And they also are allocating money to counties, at least in Colorado. So my local early childhood council, has all kinds of programs, whether it's CDA programs or director programs, lots of scholarships. That's going on. They also have, we have what's called an E&E grant here. So if I expand my license capacity, let's say I've got a building that's licensed for 40, and I've got a back room that we just it's not really used properly. And I go, well, if I had $50,000, I could remodel that and I could take on 12 more kids. Right now, Colorado will write me a check to do that. So there's a $50,000 grant that I'm applying for at both of my centers to increase my capacity. In Colorado, even if I increase it by 1 child, I could qualify for up to $50,000 of needed renovations to make that happen. So that's what the state has done here. And I was just on a call on Tuesday, and now there's another one that if you increase by, I think it's 20, if you increase your capacity by 20, you qualify for up to $100,000 to do the same. And if you increase your capacity by 40, you qualify up to $200,000.
Wow.
Okay, so if you want to relocate somewhere southern in Colorado. It's a little warmer. But so that came out. Again, I would be talking to whoever is connected to money streams, in your area at their local level and at the state level, and find out what kind of grants. And these are all grants that I'm talking about that might be available to you. I got an email last week, and I thought about it when we set up this call today, and they were talking about in this email, and it wasn't specifically childcare, but childcare was one of 10 examples. And I haven't looked into it yet, mind you, but it said you could qualify for up to 50% of construction costs if you're creating a business or an entity or a venue that is contributing to your community. And here are some examples. And one was childcare. And I scratched my head and I thought, are you kidding me? So if I purchased a piece of property for $100,000 and built $1 million structure, how I interpreted this grant was I could qualify for up to $500,000 of grant money toward that construction costs. Wow.
That's good.
Now, if I'm interpreting that correctly, this came from somewhere, some COVID funding source at the top of the state of Colorado, That's mind blowing to me. Because think about it, you spend 1.2 million, and you walk into $500,000 in equity. If it's as simple as I just stated, and I can only imagine it's not quite that simple, right?
Right.
So hopefully those few scenarios, if nothing else, even if it's inaccurate for other states, but most of which is very accurate for Colorado, I believe, there's COVID money out there, and people are trying to figure out how to spend it appropriately that are going to positively impact communities. And childcare, we all know, is one area that they are willing to spend that money in. So outside of owner lease options, but if you get into a center, let's say you find one that's closed, I would talk to your local county, your local licensing people, and say, do you know of any centers that have closed recently that building may be vacant?
Okay.
Because you mentioned that. You said, I'd like to find a home and maybe remodel it or renovate it, right?
And I actually did that. I did call licensing, and they told me they could not. See, here in Texas, it's a little hard for us. It really is, as far as funding. I even called the child care awareness, because they the one that help you out trying to find out, what grants they have out there. Even with the child care grant that they had that Biden signed into place, it's actually over with here. They really, it's not a whole lot to it's like I'm just like getting detoured back and forth, either I already have my center going or have employees already in order for me to get a grant.
Okay, yeah, I could understand that because they want to give that grant to someone who's licensed, someone who is established. So I guess I would continue to ask them more questions because that sounds like a roadblock, right? All right, fine. As a business owner, you overcome a lot of roadblocks. All right, how do we get around that roadblock? Well, how long is that grant going to be open for? Maybe till the money runs out, or maybe applications deadline is November 1st. Well, there's probably going to be more grants to follow behind it. So if that grant isn't how you open your door, figure out another way to open it. Lease options, some places closed, get in there, get licensed, and apply for that grant. Did you say that licensing told you they couldn't tell you if anybody had closed?
That's what they told me. Yeah, they said they can't because it's a broad range of so many that they don't have that information to give.
Yeah, maybe research centers if you're looking for a center within whatever range of that you want to be in of your home area, or if you have a specific area of your community you want to open one, and just start looking online. You'll see if they're closed most of the time. So you might have to do some more research. Yeah. But go ahead.
No, I was just saying I've been doing that too. I actually pulled up the centers on the child care website to see, in my range that I'm looking in, and I call and see. And most of them are still open and still continuing business, but the ones like over here in my area where I stay, maybe like a couple of minutes from where I stay, there was one that closed down, but someone bought the property already.
Yeah. Well, that's where that letter comes back in then. Right?
Okay.
That we talked about at the beginning. Draft a letter and say, hey, here's my name, here's my background, here's what I'm interested in doing. If you have any interest in an exit strategy, I'm interested in coming in, and I would be interested in having a conversation. You can be vague or you can be very detailed. I'm not really sure which the best approach might be. Might depend on you. You're in the real estate market, so you have some industry knowledge that may be beneficial in drafting that letter as well, but maybe even just start with that and canvass a certain area. Just mail that letter out there.
Okay.
But that's just one thing. The other thing is you talk to licensing, but your local early childhood council is not licensing, right? Licensing has a job. We all know what licensing's job is, right? To regulate. And if you're fortunate, they may also have a interest in partnering, right, in that regulation. But then the other side of it is the early childhood council, whatever that looks like in your area, and their job is to support local people in our industry, right, to help and support. And so if they know someone that's struggling, maybe, I mean, you might ask them, they might be a little bit more open. You know, as child care owners, we're all a little bit of a closed book. We kind of keep our poker hand close to ourselves. We don't like everybody looking at our business. There's a lot of that. But so it might be hard finding someone that is failing because they don't want to tell people they're failing, right? But that's who you're looking for. You're looking for someone that's failing, that's burnout. But you pass enough business cards out there, you pass enough letters out there, someone's probably going to take one of those letters and give it to Miss Janice, who's like, I am tired, right? And they're looking for a Gwendelin that's ready to come in here and put some energy into their program.
That makes a lot of sense. So you know what? That's a good idea. I think I'm gonna start there. That's gonna be my next avenue to send letters out. And hey, either they can say yes or no.
Yeah.
But at least I did.
Yeah.
You know, at least I tried.
And maybe that soft sell approach might work. Hey, if not right now, keep my letter, keep my card,
right,
for the future.
Right.
Because I'm telling you what, when someone starts a business and creates a business plan, they should simultaneously be creating an exit plan. Any business owner that doesn't have an exit plan is struggling, or maybe there's other adjectives that would describe them. But I think that's so true in our industry, right? Because so many child care owners are just big-hearted teachers that are like, I'm going to take the leap. I don't know how far that leap's going to be or how far I might fall, but I'm just going to go for it. And you know, they're all looking for a little bit of help.
Well, I sure appreciate your time. That gave me a lot of insight. It really did. And I am going to go review more of your videos. I love your videos. I appreciate them because they helped out a lot.
Good. Love it.
But hold your time. Thank you calling me so much.
You're very, very welcome. So are you ready for my next interview, you know, or for my next video? You know what that's going to be?
No. What's your next video?
It's going to be titled, Listen to My Interview with Miss Gwendelin from Dallas, Texas. What do you think about that, Miss Gwendelin?
I love it. Let's do it.
All right. Well, I record my conversations. Did you give me that thumbs up? We'll get it up for everybody. Hopefully they'll find some good nuggets in there. How's that?
Sounds good. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You really don't know. God has gifted you to help others.
Well, thank you. My parents put God in my life from a real young age, so I believe in all you're telling me.
Yeah, and He has. And believe me, once, and that's how it happens. That's how it starts. When one has it, and you get the knowledge, you help somebody else, and then carry on. They help somebody else, and that's how you begin to unify the world.
Yeah.
Unity with love.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yep. I hear that.
Yeah, but I appreciate you. I really do for taking out your
All
time.
right, Miss Gwendelin. Well, reach out again if you want to have another conversation.
I will do. Thank you again.
Okay, you bet. Talk to you soon.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Miss Gwendelin. And if you are interested in having a conversation with me, reach out on via email or through social media, preferably at childcarebiz, B-I-Z, consulting at Gmail. And send me an email. Let me know what's on your mind. Let's have a conversation. And maybe our conversation will be the topic of our next video. Have a great day, everyone.